It's almost a family movie, except for the brief nudity and the use of language. Like occasionally they use the N word, the H word, the S word. They use the word loins a lot. What is the H word? It's what black people used to call white people before colonizer and Karen. This film is about Mr. Quincy Davis, a former basketball superstar that is sent from his cushy English teacher position at a nice all-white public school to be vice principal at a all-black inner city school. And just to give you an idea of how rough this school is, day one, the police are asking him to ID a dead student who was shot in a burglary. Specifically, he's sent there because of a redrawing of neighborhood districts, and now 60 white kids are being added to that school. A lot of the first act deals with establishing a reverse of the racial power dynamic. So instead of white people violently harassing black minorities, the black students are doing their best to give white students a crash course in oppression. There's even like a visual reversal of the scene from when blacks were first integrated into white public schools. Movies about inner city youth being taught by a teacher that wants more for them are made for different demographics. Some of them inspire young people, some of them inspire parents. I feel like this movie might inspire teachers. It is about meeting students where they are, a fact that is highlighted in the scene where the standardized test for students was failing them, and it made it seem as though they didn't know anything at all. For some time, there's been an argument about IQ tests and that they're more cultural than anything else. Persons who weren't a part of the dominant culture were less likely to blow an IQ test out of the water. When Lockhart's character, Davis, asks the white kid, "Who is Wallace D. Fard?" the kid looks as bewildered as the black kids did when they were asked, "What is utopia?" Also, side note, it is not without irony that the kids in the ghetto have no idea what utopia is. Long story short, sometimes you gotta let your 11th graders read 50 Shades of Grey so that they could get interested in reading.
Her fingernails clawing his back. Oh man.
Reading is fundamental. Davis doesn't want to be there. In his words, he doesn't want to go back to the ghetto and is annoyed that it is clear that he was sent from his nice, cool English teacher at an all-white public school to be the black teacher at a majority black inner city school because he's black. The principal tells him as much.
That's why I asked for someone like you.
His initial problem is that everyone has expectations of him that he didn't have for himself. He just wants to teach English. The administration wants him to stop a race war between the students. The black students want him to talk about when he played basketball. And the white students, well, the white students have never seen a black woman before, so they're a little distracted and they like. However, this movie isn't just about him being held to other people's expectations. No one has any faith that the students will ever achieve anything. They're just socially promoted even though they can't read. The teachers let them do pretty much whatever. And the principal expels them at the drop of a hat because it doesn't matter. Add to that systemic racism gumbo 60 white students for black students to take their aggression out on, and suddenly you have a real problem. And the assumption is that a cool black ex-basketball player is going to be a magic bullet and fix everything by his mere presence. But here's the thing, that's not how it works. One good ingredient cannot save a bad soup. This is the best movie about a teacher coming to an inner city school. There, I said it, because it's not a fairy tale. Movies like this usually end with some giant victory whereby a grand gesture, the students see the light, the administration funds the art program, and the kids in 11B win the spelling bee/debate competition. But this isn't that story, and that makes it more impactful. The troublemaker kid, who happens to be a secret artist, draws a mural, and nothing changes. The functionally illiterate students learn how to read through the power of erotic literature, and nothing changes. The superstar teacher/vice principal doesn't give up on the students and stays even though he could leave, and nothing changes. The issues of racial inequality, access, and resources are system issues, not one-off issues that can be resolved with a simple after-school special. And as such, The anger in the students cannot be resolved overnight just because they learned about John Brown fighting for black people. What the film seems to be trying to do is acknowledge the difficulties of reality. And despite the fact that it seems overwhelming and impossible, incremental change is not failure. We have to squeeze everything that we can get out of the system, even if the people in charge of the system don't really care about us. Perfectly summed up when Lockhart stands atop a truck, screaming at hundreds of angry students while pointing back at the school building.
There's something in there we need.
The important thing is to not give up doing the right thing because it's hard. Whether it's when he tells the school admin that he won't get rid of the troublemakers because we'll only be passing the problem on to the streets, or when Lockhart's character tells a beat up young Jeff Bridges, sure, they aren't going to throw their arms around you. You'll still be a white kid at a black school, but they'll respect someone who has the guts to say, I have the right to be here. Hell, they've been saying that for a long time themselves. This movie is different because there is no kumbaya ending, but there is a level of resolution. The moral of the story is Calvin Lockhart's character gets the girl. I mean, that is always the moral of the story. It's a blaxploitation film. I feel like at this point you should just accept that. To the police asking if he needs help with rioting students.
No. We can handle this by ourselves.
So, schools are kind of closed, and you now have to teach your child, who you didn't realize was a complete horrible monster that you've been putting off on someone else to deal with. Well, it's not too late to show your appreciation and send your kids' teachers a nice email, or like maybe, I don't know, buy them something on Amazon. Also, happy Calvin Lockhart Day. Today's the day. Why?
In his loins. In his loins.